and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you for those who have shown up tonight. Got a quick month, so maybe some people think the board meeting is next week, but it's not. It's tonight. Okay, Dwayne Kelly will not be here tonight, so we won't have any Clear Creek or siltation, not that we would have had any siltation. Looks like the fire department is not represented tonight. This could break all records. Neighborhood Watch, Ken?
April wanted me to report, there was a theft report in Victor Hill of stolen propane tanks off of front porch that was caught on camera. There was also a theft reported in Mill Springs, some fishing equipment stolen out of a boat. Our pop machine out here at the out by the pool was broke into and stole the bills and the whole change box. She wanted to also send out a reminder that the Holiday Bazaar is this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It'll be held here and in the Activity Center. The chili cook-off is scheduled for February 8th. Everyone is welcome to join and pick up their favorite chili. Call the office to enter your chili in the annual Chili Bowl cook-off. That's it.
Thank you. HLCS?
No report.
No report. Donna Helneck?
Yes, Donna McGinley, 238 Mill Springs. Just wanted to report that we had a fantastic trunk or treat. The kids were many. We had many children. We had between 325 and maybe 375. So there were a lot of kids there. We actually had over 440 people who voted for the best trunk this year. So it was really crowded and the location was great. The paved driveway at the marina was absolutely amazingly good. So, and amazingly, it was also fun because cleaning up was easy. Nobody wanted to drop anything on the ground, so everybody kept it very clean, which I thought was really fun for a change. The winning trunks were Barbie, the second was Ghostbusters, and the third was Skeletons by Green Realty. And we also want to thank the police for coming and participating. The community really enjoyed having their presence at the event. The kids enjoyed it, and it was just really a fun night. So if any of you are around next year and just want to come and see the kids all dressed up, it's really great. We had a lot of comments about it. The Pictures with Santa Claus is our next event. It's going to be December 7th here at the clubhouse from 1 to 4. And if you have any questions about that, you can call anyone from Helnack or me. We also have a new program coming up, and it's a Welcome Aboard event. And that's going to be on Saturday, January 25th from 2 to 4 at the Activity Center. It's by invitation only. We're going to be sending out invitations to just people who've just moved in, new residents. We're going to try and do that at least once a year. Probably at the beginning of every year, and we'll be passing out some information like telephone directories for those that don't have one, because that's got the main amount of information right now for the community. But we're also going to try to have all the clubs and various committees represented so that people can get acquainted with everything that there is to do out here and who does what and the board members and whatnot. And again, that's by invitation only. And other than that, thank you everybody for supporting all the events we have out here. It's wonderful. It's a healthy environment, and it's just it's a great place to live. And thanks to you guys, you make it even better.
Thanks, Donna. Security report.
Tom Sutherland with the Putnam County Sheriff's Department. We were out here 42 times this past month in October. Some of the highlights, we had 5 alarm calls out here. We had 4 public assistants or people locked out of their vehicles. We had 4 suspicious calls, and to echo what Ken said, we did respond out here to 4 different theft calls. Any questions, concerns you guys have?
Yes. I have been contacted over the last, I'd say 30 days by members of the community. And to try and paragraph all their concerns into one, most of the members out here realize that when Ken was on the sheriff's department, it was obviously there was someone out here all the time with a vehicle. Since he's retired from that position, many of the members have felt like no one's getting stopped anymore. The traffic speeds are obviously increasing. The only time that I've personally paid attention to anything out here was Halloween night. I drove around all evening that evening and never saw a police car Halloween night. These are concerns we just want to pass on to you. Many of the community members that have talked to me just feel like there is not the same type of police presence that we used to have. Obviously, we know why some of that is here. But I personally, after hearing their comments, think that possibly, even one day a week, you guys could probably write 30 tickets if you just parked one on one street, like one across from the marina. I've been over there visiting a friend, and people have to be going 50 miles an hour around that area. That's right before the dam. So just passing that on.
Information we passed on to all of our deputies. And the sheriff wants me to reiterate, I don't know if you guys were, I'm sure some of you were, but when Brian Helmer worked out here, he was working on his days off, getting paid by Heritage Lake to provide security. If you're interested in doing something like that, to have a deputy out here on their days off, getting paid like that, feel free to reach out to the sheriff. We're willing to talk. We're willing to listen to your concerns.
Okay.
Is that what's keeping some other people from coming out?
No, not at all. I mean, the biggest issue is manpower. When you got 2 guys that are working a shift covering north, south, east, and west, it's difficult to, single out somebody to bring them up here during a shift when they're running from call to call.
So there's only 2 cops, 2 deputies at a time in all of Putnam County?
There's 3 typically, but if somebody takes a day off, then you've got 2 covering the whole county.
2 gazebos and a non-waterfront fence, that's 1 property. A garage addition and a room addition.
You see, we're still building.
Yes,
All right.
yes we are.
All right. Campground have anything, Rick?
No.
Clean up, Jeff, do you have anything?
Nothing.
Rick Olson was unable to be here tonight. It happened last minute, or else I would have probably read whatever report he had. We've been at the last couple commissioners' meetings. I'm not sure there's anything that really affects Heritage Lake, but next month we'll recap the last 2 months from the commissioners' meetings. I'm not sure there was anything that I remember that was crucial. Lake Committee?
I had their last meeting of the year this past week, and that's it.
Okay. Clean water, no report. Long-term planning, no report. I will touch on long-term planning and some of my identifications of the complaint that was filed with the Putnam County. Election committee, we don't have anybody here to represent the election committee. The only thing right now to know is that there are 3 people running for 3 positions. We will not have a vote this year. I guess if there is any bad news in that, it's that no more than 3 people have put in applications to be on the board. But the bright side is we we'll forego the expense of having ballots sent out to the entire community. And we will make the announcements at the year-end meeting for the new board members. Managers report, Ken?
All right, well, 'tis the season for the winter months to be prepared for some of the things around here. The volleyball, tennis, and pickleball nets have been removed. Outside restroom facilities at Lincoln Park and Marina have been winterized and closed. All the campground water lines have been winterized. Several loads of leaves, thanks to Stafford's crew, have been vacuumed, along with the final grass and mulch cut. We cut today, and after today, the gates will be locked until spring. I had reported last month the emergency siren was going to be repaired. This has not happened, and it has been rescheduled for November 18th. So if you hear some testing of sirens, that'll be on that date. That'll be the reason why. With the determined efforts of April and Jolene and the office staff making phone calls, we have collected assessments for every lot with the exception of less than 10 lots. Without mentioning a name, there was an owner that had a few lots that refused to pay his portion. After many attempts made, I am happy to announce that last week our attorney retrieved $15,000 from this owner. The financial numbers for Psalms year-to-date through October was $80,733. This is our lease investment with Psalms. Prior year through this time last year was $75,091. This is a $5,642 gain over this time last year. And if you haven't tried their pizza, it's pretty good. For all of you that have children waiting to write Santa Claus, their wish list Santa box will arrive out front of the building November 28th and will be in place until the morning of December 18th. Please make sure that the children's first and last name, along with the address information, to be included for a returned letter. And finally, I'd like to thank all the veterans that have served and currently serving our country. Would also like to thank all the veterans that attended the breakfast this morning. Like I said, there was about 62. I would also like to thank my office staff, Benny, April, Jolene, and Rose, for helping me make this a yearly transition. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. We have no old business, so we'll move on to new business. First up is A&E Fine Language, Dennis Barrow.
Okay, the A&E committee has presented some revised language for proposed revised policy for imposing fines. And I'm not gonna read the whole thing because most of it is just boilerplate language, but I'll highlight what the changes are. The main changes is they've broken down fines into two categories. A class 1 fine, which relates to houses, additions, garages, boathouses, docks, permanent covered boat lifts. And then there's a minor class 1 fine, which is sites not ready for scheduled foundation inspection or failure to notify the office of the completion of a project. And then there's a category of class 2 fines, which is decks, fences, gazebos, movable boat lifts, metal and glass sunrooms, pools, solar panels, pergolas, and portable storage units. What the proposal is, if someone breaches a commits a class 1 fine, it would be a $2,000 fine for the first offense. Subsequent offenses will require the builder to appear in front of the board, who will determine the next course of action. And then class 2 fines would be a $250 fine. So that's the proposal. This is not new news for the board. We discussed this at the last meeting, so this is more of an opportunity to make it public and for us to discuss.
It is open for discussion.
So the class 2 fine had been discussed as being 500 instead of 250?
Yeah, it was discussed, but ultimately they felt that 250 was an adequate amount, given the nature of the violation.
So the subset of the class 1, this failure not ready for inspection and the failure to notify is a 500.
Correct.
So, okay.
Which the A&E committee deems to be a bit of a more minor violation than.
So what's written here is correct, this is not.
No, this is correct. This is exactly what they're proposing.
I bring forth a motion that we vote this in.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Looks like it's unanimous.
Do we have to do this twice?
We will do this again under old business A for the next meeting. Okay, next under new business is the court hearing update. And that's me. Are we online?
No, it's just recording locally right now.
Okay. Well, that's fine. This will be put in the highlights. This report will be put in the highlights. We have met, the board has met on one occasion since the court hearing, and we have discussed all the things that I'm about to report. This is basically a recap of the hearing and the purpose of the complaint, if anybody needs that refresher course. On Monday, October 23rd, 2024, the Heritage Lake Board of Directors, representing the members of the Heritage Lake community, presented our case concerning the covenant complaint to a judge at the Putnam County Courthouse. Our attorney, Scott Treadway, was there to advocate for our complaint regarding the revision of the covenants established in 1971. At that hearing, questions were asked and testimony was given by 7 members of our community, comprised of the current board president, the current lake manager, past board presidents, longstanding community members, and present and past business and committee members. There were statements and questions also asked of 2 community members who were opposed to any covenant changes. The main objective was to provide pertinent information of the past and present community identity to this judge in order to educate him as to the need to change the voting system so that the community members would have final say concerning important issues moving forward. Some of us have heard rumors that our main objective was to raise assessments. This is not true. If you've read or read the covenants, it is written that the purpose of assessments was to provide the means for all financial obligations for the Heritage Lake community. However, in fact, today and for many years, the assessments have never compensated for more than 50% of our financial obligations. This fact was not presented to the judge so he would permit us to raise assessments, but presented to show him that the number one objective of the 1971 covenants does not and will not live up to its language and purpose. We wanted to show this judge that our voting system described in our covenants has never and will never provide an attainable majority rule system for our community. This strategy was used to educate this judge on how our community has changed dramatically, and the covenants that governs us only constrains us from logistically making decisions that could affect us well into the future. As all of you know, we presently make up the shortfall from the net value of our assessments paid by raising money through various means. Community fundraisers, boat permits, dock rentals, campground rentals, etc. This present situation may be the wave of the future. However, none of us can predict the future. Therefore, we must focus on possibilities and set ourselves up to provide options, but with the members having the final say. Our goal is to enrich the long-term planning committee with serious-minded individuals who are willing to research and vet ideas and issues that will enhance our community moving forward. These issues, after careful review, can then be presented to the board of directors. Upon further examination and board approval, said issues can be presented to the community for a membership vote. Some examples could be Airbnbs, one garbage company for the entire community, storage sheds, never heard that before, a walking path, a dog park. If assessments were to ever become a matter of concern, the final decision should be that of the membership majority and not the board of directors. We would also like to see equality in determining the number of votes each person is entitled. Right now, if a builder owns 20 lots, he or she has 20 votes. Is that fair? We propose that if you own property at Heritage Lake Community, you have 1 vote. If more than one person owns said properties, you are entitled to 2 votes, i.e. married couples, partners, LLCs. We would also like to see the quota for votes cast reduced to 750 votes, which would mean there must be 750 votes cast for the vote to count, and the majority of the yeas or nays make the ruling. We have spent the last 3 years discussing and preparing a solution to provide a fair system that all owners can have a meaningful representation. In all our efforts, it continually pointed towards a majority rule on all major issues facing the Heritage Lake community in the future. That's my explanation of the covenant hearing. If there's any questions, feel free to ask them during the open forum, which is after our budget. Next on the agenda, it's me with the budget. Okay, the board has met last week to go over our budget for 2025. Tonight is the first vote for that budget. All members have unanimously raised their hands at our last meeting after we went line item by line item. This budget will be voted on tonight. If it passes, it will be voted on again in the next board meeting. If that passes, then the budget will be approved. This approved budget will then be put into the normal articles and will be presented at the annual meeting. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. So I will take a motion to pass the budget for 2025.
I move that the budget be passed as presented here tonight.
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous for the first vote. Next vote will be old business B for our next board meeting. Okay, we move into the open forum. Not a lot of people here, but we'll take any questions, any statements, any clarity that we need to. Yes, ma'am. Donna?
I would just like to say I've been out here for 14 years now, and I think the idea to bring the controversy or the issue regarding changing the bylaws to the court was brilliant. And I think you gentlemen and ladies did a great job of presenting the problem, diagnosing the issue perfectly, and deciding, how it should be handled. And I think you did a great job of communicating. Unfortunately, you have to be proactive sometimes also, and actually reading the stuff that's printed and put out to the community, and a lot of people just don't have the time or have the interest to do that. But I followed it closely, and I think the board has done a tremendous job of trying to get this issue resolved. And I thank you. I know it got a little contentious there for a while online, and I wish there was a button you could press to turn off that sometimes, but I know there isn't. Yeah, there is. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you all, and for the majority of the community, I think really appreciates all your efforts. And I have an awful lot of confidence in the board process and what you do, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Don. Yes?
Rich Moss, 259, Jefferson Valley. Hey, Dennis,
Yes.
those fines, do you get a warning first to correct it?
No,
You don't?
no, if you breach a fine, everyone gets a copy of the A&E rules. They're supposed to understand what they're getting into. If they, break the rules, then they get fined, and then they have to go before the board to get approval to move forward.
I think you better research that. I think we're allowed a warning, but I might be wrong.
Anyone else?
Okay.
Tom?
Tom Novak, 25 Mill Springs. I'd just like to remind everyone that Heritage Lake and Blue Cross will be putting on their blood drive, which is scheduled for January 7th, 2025, between the hours of 2 p.m. and 7 p.m., right here in the basement of the clubhouse. Anyone can register beforehand. Once you view this on screen, you'll see that the information I'm presenting is available on screen. You could register at www.redcrossblood, that's all one word, .org, or you could call Marianne Novak at area code 765-386-2077. And we hope to have a lot of people show up like we have in the past, because blood is certainly needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, if there's nothing, yes. That's okay, Donna.
Well, I just want to comment on one other thing. It's hard for me not to, but with regard to the policing issue out here, I understand the significance of what the officers are going through trying to get people to work for them anymore. And I think trying to get an officer out here just to monitor our speeding is not realistic in this day and age. And considering the other issues that they have pending, and especially if these officers take off, they're alone in the car, they may need backup. And I'd hate to think that we have an officer sitting out here waiting for a speeder to go by when officer safety could be involved. I think that's the primary duty that they have to each other and to the community. And I'm wondering if there's not something, and every time I walk a lot, as you know, but I'm always trying to figure out a way of maybe self-governing ourselves to come up with an idea to help us understand and help people of our community understand that this is an issue that's facing all of us. And somehow we should be able to work together to come up with a common sense solution.
A lot of speed bumps.
There's, right, well, only two maybe, but I understand that with the boats and emergency vehicles, speed bumps aren't always the answer, but it certainly would slow people down.
Yeah.
And, if that's the only way to do it, so be it. And maybe they're strategically designated. Ken, you're probably more aware than anybody. you know, where the speeding is located, and not around the corners necessarily, but you know the areas that are more, I know towards the marina, it's a terrible situation. And if they own a business out here, remind their drivers to keep their speeds down. A lot of these are construction folks. You know, we've had a lot of construction out here and tree trucks and whatever. So again, you know, if we could just come up with something to monitor this ourselves rather than having a paid police officer sitting out here waiting for that occasional speeder.
Well, sometimes, Donna, that maybe not just setting out here. I did very little setting out here, but
I
the
agree.
vehicle was out here
It's present.
7 days a week. And if it wasn't in the drive, it was, you know, I would get up an hour early in the morning and I would just drive around Heritage Drive. And I did that in the morning and the evening.
And is there a way we could maybe talk somebody into becoming a reserve officer that lives out here? And we'd have the benefit of the same thing. We could maybe pay that reserve officer, or again, pay off duty. I know we used to have full-time, like you said, used to have somebody out here that,
You would think that would have already been discussed.
right. But like I said, we were so spoiled with you out here that I think everybody just knew that we had our own police department, and that's not the case anymore. So anyway, if we could just, you know, maybe try and think of another way to you know, look at this and maybe self-govern. I don't know if there is, maybe there isn't, but.
Well, I think the purpose of, my purpose tonight was to begin dialogue,
Which
to
is
get
great.
something done. We have a problem, and we have to fix it. Not necessarily totally fix it, but we have to attempt to fix it. Because you're right, there are people out here that work out here that speed, but there's an awful lot of young gals and guys that are late for work every morning, and someone is
Right.
gonna get hit. So it's noticeable. I mean, I was gonna look into, and I have not looked into it, and I'm sure it's not possible. I wanted my own radar detector just so I can know if I'm flashing my lights at somebody for the right thing. But I've got a good sense of speed, and I do a lot of flashing my lights, because when they're coming, you can tell that they're going
Right.
much faster than 30 miles an hour. And I watch the brake lights, and they come on after I flash my lights. So they think there's a cop up ahead, and I'm giving them a heads up. Yes.
I have a question for the sheriff's officer. Is there a correlation between when they put the signs out, the blinking sign that tells the speed that you're going and, you know, flashes red when you're exceeding the posted speed limit? Is there any correlation between that and actually reducing the speeding problem?
I've not done any research, so I don't really have an answer for you. I do know that it makes people more aware of their speed, because you see it flashing down, and you realize that typically those are set probably at least 10 miles above the actual speed limit, so that's why it's flashing. Because
What would it take for us to get one of those out here temporarily?
one of those,
Mhm.
it would probably take
It
you
works.
guys
I think,
researching
yeah.
a company to get one. I mean, we don't own
Oh,
them.
that's not
The
something
sheriff's
that,
department does not own them.
oh, okay, so that's something
No.
that a private entity would put in?
Yes, I know this, if you've driven around the city of Greencastle, you'll see some on Shovelon and other places. The city of Greencastle have purchased those to put those up.
Okay.
I did look online once, mostly out of curiosity, and you can buy those for anywhere from $4,000 to $14,000 each, and you can buy them for permanent install or portable, but they're not cheap.
And I will tell you that they work. And Tom could probably vouch for me.
Anecdotally.
Even a police officer will hit his brakes. But the thing is, you definitely have to have them moved around. I mean, they'll become stagnant in a
Yeah.
location. I've talked to different town marshals that has had them, and that's what they say, that it.
Kind of like a coyote, you gotta move it every once in a while.
I think for the large area that you guys have, a portable would probably be ideal, because, you know, the city, when when I was the chief of the Greenhouse Police Department and we bought them, there was areas that we were getting specific issues, and we targeted school zones. I know we put one up there on Shadow Lawn, by Deer Meadow School, because we were getting a lot of complaints there, and wrote some tickets. And so that was one of the areas, and then I know they put them on Jackson Street. I believe there's some on Jackson Street around the DePaul area, because students crossing the street and what have you. So, but as large it is, I mean, you guys would have to purchase several permanent ones to get the message out, other than if you bought a portable one, then you could set it in an area for 30 days, move it to another location.
Tom, aren't there portable speed bumps?
Well, I don't know about that.
I thought I've seen them before.
Stop strips?
There are.
Stop strips?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want those.
I don't know.
There
I'm
are,
sure
there are.
I
wouldn't want to pull a trailer.
I'm sure there are portable ones that you can buy and put up.
Move those around.
That'll wake people up.
Yeah.
Especially you hit them with a boat.
Oh,
You may be paying for some hitches.
We have a lot
Say, I
of
don't like
trailer
pulling
traffic
trailers around the
out
lake all
there.
day, having to go over speed bumps all day.
And the speed bump will slow
You know
you
what?
way down.
Can't have your cake and eat it too. You want the speed to slow down, that'll
Yeah.
definitely do it.
Okay, I forgot where we were, I think we're,
Open forum, yeah.
okay, I'll take a motion. We're gonna have a small exec meeting, so if there's nothing else, I will take a motion.
Motion to close the meeting.
All those in favor? We'll have a quick exec meeting and go watch football.